Bobby Kennedy once gave a speech about apartheid in the 60s, and he talked about people standing up against injustice and said that every voice is like a stone thrown on the water, creating a ripple. That stone might be small and that ripple might be small, but together the ripples come together and they begin to form a current, and the current begins to form a tide that can change anything.
I kind of feel like what's great about Wilkinsburg is that we do have these vacant lots.
Wilkinsburg is an economically depressed town.
And these vacant properties that need some love, but I see that as potential and not necessarily, not as a bad thing.
Wilkinsburg once was a flourishing small city with lots of small businesses, and it was truly a close-knit community. I've watched Wilkinsburg go from a beautiful neighborhood with beautiful architecture and homes to a neighborhood that's dilapidated and falling apart, and people moving into this area that don't have the same love for Wilkinsburg as people who were born and raised here.
It's a turnoff, and it looks like it's a low income, high poverty kind of a neighborhood. And we don't, the more we encourage that image, the more we become like that.
When you look good, you feel good. And that's the way about I feel about Wilkinsburg. If you keep your front porch clean, and I keep my front porch clean, I'm going to be apt to invite neighbors over or friends over.
Well, I think Wilkinsburg is made up of really great people. There are dedicated people that have been raised there, that want to stay there, that want to see the community come back together. It unfortunately has been deprived of a lot, and so it takes Wilkinsburg to bring it back together, but we need some outside help to make it thriving again.
I hope that we see the same kind of growth here that other communities in Pittsburgh area, like the South Side, the North Side, East Liberty, have seen in their neighborhoods.
It might be low-income communities, it might be post-industrial, maybe there's low employment, those sorts of things where they might see potential in sort of creative community design ideas to help them gain a sort of fresh breath of life.
But I can see the change in just the last few years since I've been around here in that area. It really is vital now, and you walk around that community, you have a sense that there's a lot going on there.
There are a lot of artists that have bought buildings and do different types of sculpture. There's a Community Art and Civic Design Commission that's brand new at the borough level that wants to bring more public art and more engagement in art to the community.
So I had been working with my professor, Bob Bingham, through Carnegie Mellon. He was interested in doing a project in Wilkinsburg, but wanted to up it to even a higher level to make it a permaculture garden.
Green spaces are also important as a kind of a respite and a change from the everyday pressures of life.
I don't think it's too much of a dream, but I really think that we could be a model not just for the greater Pittsburgh area, but a national model. The type of community, again, that we've been talking about with not just the urban gardens, but a true sense of community.
So green spaces are those, they become places that are special to us because they allow us to breathe and to think, to ponder, in a way that our places of work or our places of learning sometimes don't.
There are other people that, with the grazing garden that we are working on with Fuse, kind of starting a network where people are sharing their skills and helping each other, just in a very progressive way.
There's a lot of vacancy around the business district. I'd like to see some of those houses restored or torn down and new homes built. I'd like to see the green spaces that aren't being used, like the Penn State project.
Like if someone said, what's the latest of architecture, what would you say?
That's a good question. I thought it was just people like building stuff.
I can really talk to the people who will use it, where if you're in a big city, sometimes it's really hard to narrow it down. And I think like having a small urban community with a clean slate of a project, it's more important to us for you guys to have a space that you enjoy, or for your community to have a space, so we can design for you guys. Like
that would be our ultimate goal, is just like give you guys something that you'd be able to use and that you would like, and that maybe, you know, other people in your community would be like, hey, that's pretty cool, like let's keep doing stuff like that.
The best, I think the most sustainable designs are ones that people want to take care of, because that's what's going to make it last.
Sean Hewitt and Rachel Morelli and Anthony Scarangelli worked on that Wood Street, South Street lot, the vacant lot. And they wanted to include, that the park would include everybody. Nearby schools, shoppers to downtown, certainly the senior citizens who live right next door and wanted to use this park.
We suggested a number of locations for them, and they chose the projects they wanted to work on.
Yeah, it's a clean slate, right? It's just some concrete rubble and a senior citizens residence right next door.
You can only go from 0 to up with that site, so I think that's the most likely one to get done first.
My favorite part about the process would probably be the end result in all of this, and just knowing that, you know, I had a part in something this big. And I think it's just the overall feeling of knowing that you did something that's great, especially for the community.
And there will be the snowball effect of downtown. Hey, downtown's a great place to be. I'll meet you at the Wood Street Park, right? That's a great thing. If there's art exhibits there, if kids paddle around in the water feature, if the elderly people in the Senior Citizen Center have community gardens and they chat with other visitors, might stimulate community revitalization, even in just little ways, you know?
I think by doing this project, it'll bring more of the community together, like in itself.
There's neighborliness and civility, and that has a way of bringing life back into a business district. So most business people understand that those sorts of downtown amenities are absolutely vital.
If you look into other places that have rejuvenated themselves, you know, we've got to get some big people in that are willing to invest in the community.
And having some stability on the borough government level helps make development possible. I think that's really important.
If you can help imagine it, then you'll also advocate for it. You'll go to bat for it, right? Politicians and decision makers, they listen to that kind of advocacy.
The borough's worked really hard to collaborate with outside or partner with neighbors.
Business district in Regent Square has a lot of influence, I think, also.
We've done a lot of programs with the city where we do garbage collection, the borough government. We hire the city of Pittsburgh to collect residents' garbage, and it saves the residents money, and we ended up getting better garbage collection by doing that. That's unique. No other community in the state has done anything like that.
It's about bringing the money in, keeping the money in, and bringing different socioeconomic groups together so that we can, you know, begin to grow the community.
A lot of people come through Wilkinsburg and they don't stop and look at the little gym that's here. We have multiple churches that participate in group activities all the time. There's always something going on here. We have it's a little secret, shh, don't tell nobody. But if you don't tell anybody, people won't participate. And the funding goes away, and so do the opportunities for people.
Whether it's the state, the county, or Wilkinsburg itself, to encourage by sharing some expenses to get more businesses in, to change the facades of some buildings, to bring business owners into the neighborhood.
We have such good plans right now here for Wilkinsburg that I guess our biggest barrier is capacity.
I think it may change the community by bringing, them together and letting them know that there is someone out there that actually does care about the community.
One thing I would really like people that aren't Wilkinsburg residents to know is that Wilkinsburg is a very safe, nice, beautiful community.
I think the people who are involved in Fuse, all of you kids who are involved in Fuse, are like those ripples on the water. If you really keep at this and you join together and you work for the future, you're really going to make this a better place.
My dream for the future for Wilkinsburg is basically have all the abandoned buildings remodeled.
Better businesses, less gang activity, and more positive things happening throughout the community.
Eventually develop a greater sense of community and community awareness and want to actually get involved and know what's happening and want to change it.
In the past, we had like various stores. If we had more of that, we would have more people come from different towns or communities.